Thank you for joining us for this brief update on the Norfolk Substance Misuse Service, which is going to be managed by Lloyds Pharmacy. We're joined by Janine from Lloyds Pharmacy. Janine, can you just outline what your role is, please?
Yeah, so my role is local contract manager for commission services. So I would manage the pharmacy element of the contract and provide a single point of contact for pharmacies delivering services.
So how does Lloyds work with other pharmacies outside of their own network?
So we would manage the implementation of the new contract and services with all the pharmacies, as well as providing any ongoing support that they require.
Great. So the four services, the first two, supervised consumption and the needle exchange, they're already commissioned in pharmacies. The take-home naloxone service is commissioned in 5 pharmacies in Norfolk, but we understand you'll be extending that to 5 more?
Yeah, so the 4 services in total, and pharmacies will be given the opportunity to submit an expression of interest to deliver take-home naloxone and alcohol screening.
The alcohol screening service you mentioned, that one's brand new, so that's a really good opportunity for pharmacies to get involved because we haven't previously had any services like that in Norfolk.
Yeah, definitely.
So going on to the detail of the supervised consumption service. So as you said, all current pharmacies will be offered a new contract. This service will continue to be delivered using the Farm Outcomes platform, so people will still be entering all their data via Farm Outcomes. What will happen in the few weeks after the 1st of April? Because obviously we do have issues with prescriptions can last 14 days, so there will be some overlap, I take it?
Yes, so both forms will be visible or may be visible from the 1st of April, and all transactions from the 1st are to be recorded under CGL Norfolk. Any billing discrepancies will then be rectified centrally.
Okay, brilliant. So the payments will remain the same for methadone and buprenorphine, and I see that we'll be using the CPP Declaration of Competence. Obviously, they might not have done this training for the 1st of April, so what are the arrangements in place if they haven't completed that Declaration of Competence yet?
So we will have a grace period in place, usually around 3 months. I will follow up with anybody that hasn't completed it within those 12 weeks.
Okay, so nobody should at any point sort of find that they're suddenly unable to access the forms or claim their payment. You will be in contact with them.
Yeah, no, everything should remain the same and stores will be able to continue delivering services as usual.
And there's now one contact point for referring or reporting any issues with missed doses, or if we've got any behaviour concerns or concerns for the service user's well-being. What hours will that phone number operate?
So that'll be a 24-hour line, which will connect to CGL officers during business hours, and their business hours are 9 a.m. till 5 p.m.
So for the needle exchange service, again, this is very similar to what we've already been offering. One thing that has changed though is that the payments will be per transaction rather than per pack. So I assume the form on Farm Outcomes will change to reflect that slightly.
Yes, so data recording on Farm Outcomes will be practically the same. You would just select you just input what you've given out for each transaction, and there is now a box to tick if you've had bins received. Pharmacies have all been provided with order forms, which I'll also send them out a copy, and I'd advise all pharmacies to quote the names, address, and ODS code when ordering consumables.
And we've just got the details up here of what's in each pack. They are a similar offering to what was available before. So the waste is being covered by SWS, and they should be receiving their bins 28th of March, so that's imminently, and it's a monthly collection. Is that correct?
That's so. There's no existing bins will be collected on the 28th. However, if pharmacies require collection, they can contact Sustainable Waste by either phone or email. Again, extra collections are to be arranged direct with Sustainable Waste. The details are all included within the service specification, but the first bins will be delivered on the 28th of March.
And there's also going to be one contact phone number to refer people. What sort of referrals do you expect might come through from people accessing needle exchange?
So this is the one contact number that will become available on the 28th of March is more for patients under the age of 18. So if a patient or client presents in pharmacy underage, then they should be offered the option of either the pharmacy contacting the Matthew Project or supply the patient with the Young People Free Phone hotline number.
And then going on to the alcohol and naloxone services. So the alcohol service is going to be delivered as 2 campaigns per year, each lasting a week. So can everybody take part in that, or is it just people that are already doing substance misuse and supervised consumption?
With alcohol service, the expression of interest will be open to everybody. It's not restricted to needle exchange stores. It will be open to all substance misuse contracts, methadone, buprenorphine, or needle exchange, or anybody that actually doesn't deliver any of those services. They're more than welcome to express interest.
Okay, that's great. And the naloxone pilot?
So there are currently 5 stores delivering. Yeah. And CJ will be selecting another 5, most of whom have been informed already. Expressions of interest for naloxone services are not just open to needle exchange stores, they're open to anyone who has a substance misuse contract in place. Training will depend on the uptake of the service, so it may well be online training or an evening event session. However, if there's only a small number of pharmacies participating, it may well be that myself or one of my colleagues attend the store and deliver one-to-one training.
Right, so you're going to be quite flexible with what the training plans are based on the need?
Yes.
So for the alcohol service, I can see here that there are 3 levels of payment, which are the audit C screening, the brief intervention, and then for referral.
So the audit C screening consists of 3 questions that you would ask a customer, which will then generate a score. Depending on this score, if they score over 7, then this will open up a second set of questions, which is classed as a brief intervention, where the pharmacy will be giving guidelines and advice on what to give to the patient. If the patient then scores a total score of over 16, they're to be offered a referral to CGL, which consists of taking the patient's name and telephone number and clicking submit on farm outcomes, which would then generate extra payments. So the payments are cumulative. So potentially, if a customer comes in and has a conversation with the pharmacy, they will potentially receive £27 income depending on the outcome of the conversation. Campaigns for alcohol will be held twice a year. One will be in the summer and one later in the year that I expect will run alongside the public health campaign, which is usually dry January. Again, it will be an expression of interest and all pharmacies are welcome to participate.
Yep, so that sounds like, although it's only 2 weeks of the year, that sounds like a really worthwhile campaign to be involved in. And we've already covered naloxone really, because this is a fairly straightforward service, isn't it, in terms of you get £10 for providing the service plus drug reimbursement. Will cascade training be allowed if somebody attends face-to-face but they've got other members of staff in the pharmacy who would like to take part that can't attend? Would somebody who's received the training be able to train their staff to deliver as well?
Yes, that's fine.
Yeah. Okay, so payments for the services will be monthly, as they currently are, and entered onto farm outcomes. So everything that's entered onto the system by the 5th of the month will be invoiced and then sent over to yourselves for payment. We have already asked everybody to submit their payment details, so hopefully you've received a good number of those, and I understand that Boots, Lloyds and Well are already sorted for that.
Yeah, there's still quite a large number of outstanding finance details. If people can get them over as quickly as possible.
So for training, as we mentioned, it's the CPP modules on substance use and misuse, the pharmacist versions of them that go with the Declaration of Competence. Also the Safeguarding Level 2 modules, which everybody should have done for their quality payment anyway, so hopefully that won't be too much of an issue for anyone. And it's for all staff involved in delivering the service should be working to the safeguarding policy and procedures. I understand that if anybody is worried about what safeguarding policies or procedures they have in place, and if they don't have signed records of competence, then you'll be providing a template version that people can adopt.
Yeah, we do. We have a safeguarding policy and procedure available, and the same with chaperone policy. So if a pharmacy doesn't have these in place, then they can contact me directly and I'll send them over.
Okay. And then finally, as we've said, we want to make sure everybody's got their banking details in. There is a form available on the LPC website under the Commission Service tab. If you go to substance misuse, I believe it's actually called supervised consumption and needle exchange, at the bottom of that page, not only will this video be there, but all the forms and the contact details for Janine. The contracts we expect to be out imminently. Is that correct?
Yes, they should be with stores by Tuesday at the latest.
Okay. Most people won't have had a chance to read that, get it approved and signed by the 1st of April. So what happens on the 1st of April if a contract hasn't been signed yet?
So again, we have a grace period in place, which takes us till the end of April. So all pharmacies should continue to deliver services as they have been. I will chase all stores once beforehand. So I say contracts will be with stores before the 1st of April. They'll be given a grace period to read and sign, continue delivering the currently contracted services, and I'll personally follow up with any pharmacies that have not returned contracts by the end of the grace period.
Okay. So I've just had, following the engagement evening that you held face to face, I have had just a few questions in that if we can just cover those now.
Yeah, absolutely.
So will we be dealing with the same prescribers and practitioners that we currently deal with?
So CGL have confirmed that prescribers will be 2P'd over to them, and an up-to-date list of prescribers and their signatures will be circulated.
Can we order needles for the needle exchange service in quantities less than 50?
No, as far as I'm aware, they are in outers of 50.
Okay. Hep B vaccinations, we currently get them provided by the service for staff involved. I understand that this isn't going to be offered anymore.
It's not, no. So Hep B is not a mandatory requirement of the service. However, it is recommended, but it will not be included.
And then finally, we just had a question about resources for safer injecting. It does state in the contract information that we'll provide around safer injecting, but obviously a lot of people like this in sort of a leaflet format, or to have some training on what sort of advice they may be able to give when asked. So what will be available?
So I'm currently putting together a harm minimisation pack, which will be circulated with stores over the coming weeks.
Okay, that's brilliant. So we'll keep an eye out for that. Thank you very much, Janine, for joining us for that update. That's been really useful. And obviously, if anybody does have any further questions, they can still send them either to the LPC or to Janine, and we'll make sure that we provide regular updates.